Hello everyone, George here, and we're back with the Pirate Cove. So last time we left off, we finished off most of the assets here. We haven't done any texturing or anything like that at the moment, which is kind of key and important, but we'll get to that later. What's more important right now are creating curtains that are going to wrap around this entire element here. And trying to think how I want to do that. There's a number of ways of producing something that will do what we want, but let's take a quick look again and go to, what is it, Pirate Cove FNAF private, or pirate, there we go, images, and it's just a standard rippled curtain with a little bit of an opening right here, which gradually gets wider and wider until it looks like 3 stages. It's been a while since I played the first FNAF, so I'm not exactly sure, but either way, we're going to create a series of stages for these curtains. And I'm guessing I'm just going to end up taking a curtain, which will be wrapped around halfway the whole entire thing, and go from there. So how can we do this? Well, the first thing I would want to try to do is to, well, take a plane and see if I can fit it to the darn thing, and then put a sinusoid through it. Maybe use a couple different modifiers, one after the other, to get this to work. Now, I believe if we go under, let's see, deform, these are called nonlinear, which means they're not going to respect their X and Y space. That means they'll squash and stretch, and not necessarily to a way we want. And my first inclination would be to create a curve, something like that, maybe determine what the radius is of this thing, and then create a plane, and then try to bend it and get it in there. I don't know, maybe it's just better for us to try to wing this. But let's try to use math first, because math is good. And let's bring this up, and somewhere around there, and let's go to the radius here, which is 1, and come over here and look at it from the top down. Now the curtains themselves are quite close, but not, I don't know, maybe a foot off from the center. A foot meaning a third of a meter. So let's, whoa, that's not good. Okay, 1.5, what do we get? That's not good. What about 1.25? Let's see, let's hit. That's close. So 1.3, 1.35? Yeah, okay. We're going to go with that, I think, for the radius of this thing. So 1.35. Where did that curve go, by the way? F8, Windows, Outliner. Take another look really quick. There's our circle. F on the keyboard, and it says it's right there, so I must have screwed something up. But either way, we have a value, 1.35 for the radius. So let's... this is not going to work, because that's not what nonlinear means, but we're going to give it a shot anyway. I'm going to grab a plane, rotate it 180 degrees, no, 90 degrees, yes, 90 degrees vertically, and we are going to, we need a lot more subdivisions in this, so let's see what we're going to get here if I do 50. Woo, that's a lot of subdies, but let's do, I don't know, maybe 20 going that way. D, top, V to the bottom, and then V snap to the bottom of the stage. What we need to do, though, is address the size of this object, and that's here in the width and the height. So the width was, I can't even remember anymore, 1.35, was that the radius? I think so. So if we brought this over here, that roughly covers half the stage. Let's do 1.4. 1.4 gives me some leeway. Now, I'm thinking here, so we're just going to work, okay? Let's just do it and make it happen. So we'll go nonlinear. Let's do a sine wave through this. Let's go over to the sine. Let's change the amplitude to like 0.2, something a little bit. We can see that's in the wrong direction. So we're going to want to rotate the actual modifier to be in the direction we want, which is definitely not that, but probably something along those lines there. So let's do 90 and negative 90. I'm guessing that's flat. So that's running it through the wrong way. So we actually want this to go, we actually want this to ripple in and out across the entire thing. Something like that, but with a different amplitude. So let's make that negative 90, get this close to our power. So 90, that's fine. 0, and our amplitude, wavelength is huge. So there we go, that's 0.1. Let's try 0.2. Still crazy. Amplitude is way too high. Amplitude, of course, is the height of the wave. 0.05, that's something a little bit better. Wavelength, 0.1. So we don't have enough subdivision. So let's make this 80 and see what happens. As long as you don't screw with things, you're going to be able to keep, that's a lot of polys, but it's fine. We're trying to make a curtain. All right, so now what I'm thinking is you grab that, and now we're going to go to deform and go to nonlinear, and we'll put a bend on that. And the bend, I always like to turn the bend on first so I have a general idea. I can never remember exactly what the heck's going on with these things. That is the modifiers. I jump from program to program so often that can't remember how the hell things work. Let's just zero that thing out. So that's a 90-degree rotation right there. Curvature needs to be like crazy high. Way too high, obviously, but maybe 45. And I'm wondering if we can use that for half the stage. That looks not quite enough. So what if we did 30? No, that's not enough. 30. I might need to push and pull some things. Let's take a look at the reference material. There's a lot of waves going on with this object. Can we just grab the whole damn thing and move it? Yes, we can as one unit. Sorry, it's been a while since I've utilized non-linear deformations in the way we're dealing with right now. If I'm doing stupid things that you know better, well, good for you. Please post in the comments below and let me know how dumb I am, and I would love to learn new things. So let's move this somewhere out here. So it's good from there, but the scale itself is wrong everywhere else. So let's do, I'm trying to think if I can, let's do 40. Yeah, let's do that. Let's grab the deformer. Not that one. I want the other one. That one. Yeah, that's what we want. I'm going to play with this until I get something I like. Don't be afraid to tweak things until they look right, because at the end of the day, it's more about things looking right than necessarily being right. Let's go back here to this object, grab it, bend, curvature 45, get it curved a little bit more, and you know what? It's not looking half bad. If I move, not that, this object, if I move this object down a bit into there, just so I get the sense of how this looks. Let's turn off the wireframing. And you know what? That looks like a damn curtain. And, no. 150. Yeah, I feel like I need some more polys on that. You know what? We're going to push it. We're going to go to 200. We can always reduce, we can always normal map, we can always displacement map, whatever you want. Let's make it look good for the start of things. So now that I have that, actually, I can duplicate that to the other side because it's naturally open. I don't need to try to make that completely closed. Let us save this really quick so that we don't lose everything we're doing. There we are. I messed up that save name. Now we're on 132. So let's come back in here really quick, or 32. Let's delete that. 03, and I'll deal with that later. I like that. We're going to go with it. So let's duplicate it across its own thing. WDV, I guess the center. DX for there, and let's do a shift right click and see if we can't do a mirror off to the other side. World coordinates is fine. We're probably going to want to do it in the positive direction, and there you go. Okay. So those are our two portions of the curtains. The curtains will be modified later on. Let's go to WDER. Scale is right there. Let's put the scale at the bottom. DV there. And move that on up to the top of this thing. Somewhere really close. Let's look at it from the side view here. Or front negative Z view. And just get it close. And I'll take those top verts and just make sure they're just barely inside, so we don't need to worry about them. All right, those are some big old curtains. Stars, you know, these, I wonder, are these just Photoshop standard stencils? Let's jump into Photoshop, take a minute and see if we can't find this star pattern. And if we can, why don't we just texture this thing? Unfortunately, I might need to redo everything because no, you know what? The UV should be still flat out, shouldn't they? Because I didn't do anything to deform the actual model itself. So if we come over here, the UVs are still in a flat space. I can work with this with a flat image. So let's do a power of 2, 4096, because we'll never use a texture that big. 4096, enter. And let's go to B for brush and F5 for the brush hotkey. And let's go under our, let's just start looking here. I don't see a star brush. but we could probably create a stencil for that pretty quick. You know what? Let's just make a stencil for this thing and not really worry about it. Viewing the image, zooming on in. It's an inside out, it's a star with, so let's create a new layer, delete the background. Let's go to shapes. Is there a star under shapes that we can work with? Custom shape tool. Do we see a star? No. All right, so let's define our own shape for this then. Let's go to line tool, control and apostrophe, and just start, no, we don't want that. We want no end to this. So let's do that, and we'll do you to there, you to there. Imperfect is probably better than perfect, so let's just go with it. So something like this. Let's grab all the shapes and just merge them. So let's grab this, let's rasterize the layer, right click, rasterize layers, right click, merge. There we go. Let's just see what happens. So if we grab the layer itself, double click it, go to cancel. It's a little bit large. Let's minimize this a bit, somewhere around that. Apply, double click it again, go to stroke, or we probably only need one, but let's see, white, right? White. So let's do white, almost white. Always do almost white, never fully white. And let's increase the size a bit, something like, yeah, that's good. Okay, and we're going to grab that color to 220, 220, 220. We'll do a color overlay, and let's just grab that color there. Are you not going to grab it? Fine, it can't detect that. So let's just do 220, 220, 220, and 220. Now we have our star. Great. So let's do Control A, edit, and define a brush preset. And let's call that FNAF stars. So now we should have a brush that we can work with. So coming back in here into a new image. Oh, there's our star. See that pattern? Okay, so let's go to F5 and start messing with our brush presets a bit. So going to the texture itself, that's the scale of that. Let's go to brush and increase the spacing so the stars are actually apart from one another. And let's go to, let's see, scatter. Scattering is up and down. So let's reduce the spacing so I can actually see what the heck's going on here. And size, jitter. Yeah, you know what? We probably want to jitter the size, minimum, whatever. And does it flip around? Who cares? This is mine. I'll do what I want. So let's make it jitter. Let's angle it. Let's do all the good stuff. And we'll do both axes. Texture, none. We don't. Ooh, that darkened it considerably, didn't it? Okay, that's interesting. Why don't we work with that actually? Actually, let's go here. And once again, I'm just playing around. I don't really know what I'm doing. And until I start playing with it, I'm not going to get a good sense. My opacity's 10. So there's my stars, which are way too big. Still way too big. Can I not reduce their size with my size of my brush? So we go to the brush tool, F5. What's my size? Size is huge. There we go. That's what I want. So maybe 58 pixels. Yeah, there we go. And too many, obviously. So let's do more spacing. And the scattering should probably be a lot larger. We got something working. So 175 maybe, much better. Yes. Okay, so we got a star pattern that I can work with. So let's figure out what this blue color or purple color is. Copy this image, file, enter, Control V, and let's just sample with the color somewhere. There we are. Coming back over here. Let's do Shift F5, fill the foreground with that general color, and we're going to let lighting do most of the work for us. But these are supposed to be very white. Let's create a new layer on top of this layer. Give us white for our color, and there we go. Now we have stars. Control I to get rid of that stuff, and let's just, it might be a bit dense, but it's fine enough for what we're doing. So let's just create a few more. Great. Now let's go to Filter, Other, Offset, and we're going to do 2048. 2048 by 2048. Enter, and we can see we've got some seam issues here, here, and here. So let's just go here and grab our eraser. There's the eraser tool, and just take a look. I'm gonna hit that so we know where the seams are. And anywhere there's a seam, like here, we're just gonna erase the stars that got kind of screwed up. So like these guys, this one, anything that crosses over that seam needs to go. And we're gonna put new stars in there in just a second, and then we're going to offset it again and just make sure I didn't screw anything up, because I do from time to time. So let's get rid of that, And that's good. So let's go to our stars brush. I want to kind of keep away from the edges so I don't screw this up again. I just want enough to make it look like the pattern has no problem. All right, so let's go to filter, other, offset, and we're back. And let's just take one final look at the middle seam of this thing and make sure I'm not dealing with anything really bad. I don't see any problems here. I think it works pretty well. So let's go to File, Save As, and go to our project folder, Pirate Cove Curtains Stars. Great. Save that, save it again, File, Save As. I'm going to put this now as a PNG in our Textures folder. There we are. Now we can jump back in Maya and apply this to our actual curtains. All right, so let's go ahead and apply that texture. Let's go to Window, and actually click on the curtain, right click, go to New Material. Let us do a Fong. Let's call this texture curtain underscore M underscore stars underscore M, or probably curtain, I don't know, Foxy's Cove, something descriptive. Let's now go to the color file. Let's call this curtain underscore stars underscore file 1. File. I'm going to copy that, go to place 2D texture node, and paste that again, just so I have truly descriptive things. Going back in here, curtain stars, color, and file. Let's go to up, and up, textures, Pirate Cove curtain stars. There we are. Hit, what is it? 6 on the keyboard, and that's looking pretty good, actually. I'm relatively happy with how that looks. So those are the curtains. Now we need a series of levels of how these curtains should actually appear. So going back in here, we've got the slightly opened Foxy curtain transitions, maybe? FNAF Foxy. Yeah, let's do that. FNAF Foxy curtain transitions. So it's slightly open. It is Foxy, and then I think he's all the way out in the next image, right? So there's 3 levels of foxiness. Let us duplicate this asset. Let's go to File. I'm going to save this as a new scene before we screw anything up. And let's call this Curtain Stages, or Curtains. Curtain Stages. I'm going to delete this object several times. I'm going to create new layers as well. I need more than that. Let's do 4 layers. And the first layer is just going to be the background. And then we're going to do the 3 levels of curtains. Curtain 1, copy that to make our lives easier. Double click. V2, save, and this one as well. 3. Okay, those are our 3 levels of curtains, and we're just going to modify things to work in that way. So the first one has a gentle arcing sweep open from the top. So let's duplicate this asset. So curtain underscore 01 and add it to that layer. Control D it. There's 2 and 3 now. We'll add 3 to that layer. We'll turn that layer off. We'll grab this layer, grab it to that one as well. We'll turn that layer off, and now we're back to 1. Right click, vertex mode, just a little bit on the bottom. So we're going to hit W key and bring up our tool settings. What is it? B for soft selection? Yeah, there we go. And move that down quite a bit. We don't want volume, we actually want surface, because I only want to affect the one side of the surface. Now we can boost this up, maybe to 1.5, and just make it open up ever so slightly to reveal what's going on behind the scenes. And actually, I'm probably then going to grab these ones and actually close them a little. Okay, so that's number 1. Let's turn that off and go to 2. Now 2 is a bit more pronounced. There we are. So they're both very much open, and Foxy is very visible. So right click, vertex mode. Let's grab, I don't know, all of you, and just push you all back. But actually, why don't we just grab the top? I almost feel like, yeah, he's kind of starting to push the curtains apart, but not really. And we'll grab these guys and just move them over as well a bit, something along those lines. Grab the top elements and maybe move them in a little bit, just so it really looks like he's started to push these curtains out, and they're bulging a bit from side to side. Yeah, let's go with it. All right, let's go to 3 now. But let's grab all of this and just in a lot. And do the same thing for the other side. There we are. And just a lot in there. And now we can get down to the delicate bits where we move the bottom out and we move the other bottom out a bit. Because, you know, friction, the bottom of curtains typically kind of don't go along with whatever's going on at the top. He's definitely moved out. So we're going to reduce this to 1 now, I think. 1, and bring it in, and bring that guy in as well. Okay. I don't know, maybe it needs to be even more open at this point. I mean, really, it's going to be the fact that Foxy's out of his cage that warns you of this kind of thing. But let's push all of it way back. We're going to make Foxy huge, I think. And he stepped through his gate, and he's ready. Okay, so VV, those are our progressions from 1 to the next. So let's see them. 1, 2, and 3. I think they're good. We're going to go with them. I'm going to save this now as a new scene, and I'm finally going to collapse my history so those deformers don't actually do anything. Let's go to Edit, Delete All by Type, History, save it on out, and take a look. All right. So why don't we send this thing off to Unity? Do we want to bring it into Unity, or do we want to... We don't need this outer shell anymore. And really the sconces can be reused as separate assets all over the place. So let's save this. I almost feel like grabbing a sconce, going to File. Let's do this. File. Let's do it proper. Export Selection. Maya. And call this a light fixture. 01. Or 012, you know, because I screw things up. Let's delete all of that, and I just want this one element. Let's go to Window, Outliner, and begin looking at that and make sure everything's good. Edit, Delete All by Type again, just to make sure. And we need to group all this stuff, obviously. So we have our lights, which are right here. So let's go ahead and just Control-G them together and call this Lights. And now that we have that, we have curtain 1, 2, and 3. We have the NURBS curve, which no longer matters. We have P1, 2, 3 in a cylinder. So let's call this top. Pirate Cove underscore top. Copy that. Let's grab you, and you are the bottom. Or stage, whatever you want to call it. It's up to you. Naming conventions are entirely your thing. We're going to grab both of these elements, Control-G them, and call this sign. For now, Pirate Cove underscore sign. And that's looking pretty good. Now we're going to grab everything that we've done so far and Control-G these into a group, and we're going to call this Pirate underscore Cove. Save. Now that we have that group, we can export it out to Unity. And in the next video, we're going to be working with that group. So let's go to File, Send to Unity, Selection. And it looks like we're in the right place. Hit New Folder, Pirate Cove. Go into there. Let's take a look over here. Embed Media, sure. And let's call this Pirate Cove. All right, save that. Let's see if it actually came into Unity after all. Bring that on down. Open up Unity 5.5. Night at Georgie's. And we have Pirate Cove. Let's just create a new scene really quick. Grab Pirate Cove, throw it in there, hit F, go to the scaling on this thing, obviously, and probably by 100 or 10, something along those lines. So Pirate Cove, let's scale you by 100 for now. And there we go. Okay, great. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, put a like down there. If you didn't, hey, put a dislike. It lets me know that content sucks. Have a great night, and we'll jump back in with coding the actual implementation of making this thing work within our game.